Hey, what do you do when you have the comedy bug and you take a leap of faith? Well, you get Nick Madrid. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
So
Thank
this
you.
is good. Let's start with that right there. You got the comedy bug. How did you get the comedy bug first?
I've had it for years. In my previous marriage, my wife didn't really encourage me to go out and expand my creative self.
Yeah.
And I've been recently married to my new wife, Jennifer, and she encouraged it. And I said, you know what? I'm doing a job at the time. I had a career, high finance with commodity buying, and I said, you know, I think it's time for me to walk away from the money, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or the chase, because you're working 7 days a week on the phone, computers and stuff. And I've always wanted to perform, but not for the sake of people laughing at me or you know, putting me on a stage and a pedestal. I've always wanted the platform.
Yeah.
And my platform to comedy is, if there's somebody in the audience that's having a bad day, a bad life, is contemplating something they should be contemplating, and if I can reach out to them with one joke and maybe talk them off the ledge, so to speak, then I've done what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Applause is fine. You know, a little bit of fame is fine. It's nice when people clap at you and stuff. It's better when you walk out and you see somebody who walked in who was a little bit more on the negative side, walking out with a smile on their face.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about right there. And that's the comedy bug I think a lot of people to realize, you know, and hear it from someone who started doing it and leaving their job, and
Right.
it's great. But also what is kind of fun too is that you get to poke fun at yourself. That's a part I think people really connect with, and you do that on stage. And I believe you actually use your new wife, which could not become a little bit more.
Yeah, my wife tends to be a lot of my material. I never have, like I was telling you backstage, I never have a blank writer's cramp, you know, where you can't think of something, because when I'm trying to write some material, like I'm stuck. Hey Jen, can you come into the kitchen for a little bit? And I talked for a little bit, and before you know it, it's like, okay, you can go back now. I've got some material.
Yeah.
But no, it's amazing. You know, to me, a gentleman backstage was asking me, so what kind of material do you use? I just do life.
Right.
I associate my life to something that's funny, and I present it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the best part of it. I don't have to memorize a line because I know what's happened. I just kind of got to deliver it in a way where somebody says, hey, you know what, that's funny, ha ha.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's talk a little bit about using your personal experiences and everything to make people laugh. Talk to me a little bit about that, because there's one I was watching where you did talk, you know, about having that wonderful wife in the audience and other things too. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, see, my wife has a great sense of humor, and you know, one of the jokes I talk about is like, hey, you know what? You know, I just made, as New Year's, my resolution is to love my wife even better this year than last year, and that's by spending less time with my girlfriend, you know. And some people you think would get offended on stage, but they're like, it's amazing, you know.
And that's what's so great about comedy, is that when we start, you know, making fun of ourselves or using our life experiences, even though they're not real life experiences, things that we just like to pick on and use, and that's something that you do.
I'm the youngest of 16.
Oh my, what?
So,
that's a joke right there.
And I'm 57 years old, so.
Oh, wow.
The pressures, people always talk about the pressures. Was it difficult growing up? You know, my brother Ray was always my inspiration. He was the one closest to me in age, and he was always doing great in school and never getting in trouble at the dean's minutes classes or stuff. So I always had that pressure, but people say, well, do you have pressure? So that's not pressure. Pressure is what the younger brother of Jesus had. That's James. I mean, think about it. So you could be going to bed and you got to say your prayers to your brother. You wake up in the morning and Mary says, let's say grace, and so you got to thank your brother Jesus for the food, right?
Yeah.
Or you can go out and build a city by yourself, yet you can't compete because your brother just fed 5,000 people. So that's pressure. For me, there's no pressure. I grew up saying, you know what, I'm going to be the best I can. I'm going to try to exceed what they did without trying to exceed it, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you try too hard to do something, you tend to fail, because you overwork the situation. It's kind of like comedy. You've got a joke, man, in your mind is just said, I'm going to do that joke, I'm going to do that joke, I'm going to make it work. I said, maybe you might not make it work.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and what I love is that you are taking another leap, and that is you're born and raised here. You've been doing comedy all over the valley, which is neat. And we were talking about our ages, and it's kind of like, you know, when we get to a certain age, we want to stay comfortable. But you're like, no, I'm taking the next leap, and you're heading off to do shows in LA and around, which is really cool.
It's been amazing. I've met so many people on Instagram, and I've had comedians reach out to me. Somebody shared to them a clip of my routine, and they say, "Hey, I saw some of your routine. It's fantastic." So I've developed some friendships where we're talking now about getting a group of people, going out to California, working the back doors, so to speak, and try to make some noise.
Yeah.
Because you got two people that are comedians. You have the ones that do local,
Right.
and they like it. You know, I'll get paid a little bit of money, entertain myself, entertain them, and go back home and have my job. I'm looking to make this a career choice.
And you can.
Even at an older age, you know what? I don't believe in age being a limitation on anything. You know, so I'm excited about it. I'm excited to go out and explore LA. We've talked about going to New York City and doing some of the open mics in New York City. You know, they have thousands of these clubs out there. You never know who you're going to talk to. You know, for me, the ultimate goal for me is somewhere to be a writer with some show, some sitcom. I love to write. I write for other people. They get writer's block. They say, well, help me out with this, or they ask me for my encouragement.
I like that, Nick. That is awesome. All right, where can they find more about you and, of course, catch your shows and stuff?
Nick Madrid on Instagram.
There you go. All right. Nick, thanks for stopping in.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
There you go. And thanks to your wife for letting you, make fun. All right. Hey, we got our funny on, and now we got more for you right after this. Come on back.